All right, good morning, everybody. TG Watkins here. Let's see, it is July 30th. We're coming up on the end of the month. Tomorrow is the last day of the month, and then we might actually change into some weakness because July obviously is a very, very strong seasonal month. And then we start getting into August and September and possibly October as some weakness. And, hopefully that is actually what we start to get because this market has been so amazingly strong. It is almost unbelievable. It is just absolutely incredible how long this thing has been up and the rip that this market has been doing off of the lows. So that's fine. There will still be stocks that go up. We've had a pretty good time with all this, and we've been cashing in, taking profits. Like I'll show you guys. Was it SOFI? SoFi had earnings yesterday. So those of you out there on the social medias, you can see this. We had a nice pop on SOFI, SoFi earnings. We were trading SOFX, which was the leveraged ETF of this. And yeah, we decided to take a little bit more off up there just because, hey, when don't lick a gift horse in the mouth, right? And so when this thing jumped up like that, took a little bit more, and then you can see it started to sell off for the end of the day. And then there was news that they came out with a secondary offering, and that's why price dropped even more. Now it is bouncing. Okay, that's good. It's off of the daily 21, but at this point, I'm just sitting on whatever I have left, which is a small size, and we'll just kind of let this thing do whatever it wants to do because I have a feeling it needs to digest these kind of moves. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. So if you look here, it's just when names like this go up so high, a lot of times they need to rest. At some point, they need to digest these moves and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what I'm figuring in through here is we're going to have to digest it. Now, if it keeps going up, hopefully I'll find the right entry to get back in, add more to it, something like that. But this market is still looking a little bit weak to me out there, and that's totally worth it. It's about time. So actually, even if we come over here, let me show you guys the lower time frame. Since in the Moxie room, I was with you guys for about an hour this morning, and I just got back from getting some breakfast in the kitchen, and look what it did. So remember that we were talking about this. There was a 50, 200, 50 maneuver right there on the 5 minutes, and when I left you guys to go get breakfast, right there, price was sitting at the 5-minute 200. I also said that price was trying to push up across the 15-minute 50 with the Moxie indicator below zero. And I said, even this morning post, I said, look, even if the market moves up, it's probably going to be temporary. Now, we do have FOMC in a couple hours, and anything can happen or nothing can happen. So just be aware of that. If we do happen to get a spike up, I'm going to generally view it as temporary. So fingers crossed, we'll see if that actually is correct. If it goes sideways to down, then so be it. I'm kind of expecting that. I would love to see this market actually start coming down because it is about time, and it's just getting difficult to comfortably chase anything to the long side up and through here, and it's just becoming kind of unreasonable. The other thing that I've seen in through here is the Moxie indicator. So you can see back here, the Moxie indicator was below zero. We did get price to push up a little bit, but you can see here we broke and started coming back down. And I'm seeing the same basic setup here. You can see the Moxie indicator is again below zero, and we've had price push up for a little bit, but what if we start to come down a little bit? So that is the idea of what I'm seeing in through here. I love the Moxie indicator. I trust it. It is the indicator that I designed and developed many years ago, and it is basically the one tool that I really use. I've got some other ones in through here, but that is the bread and butter. And if you guys are interested in picking it up, you can get that at simplertrading.com. And then also we're running the special. Let's see, where is this thing? I know everyone else has probably seen this thing. Oh, where did that go? Ad nauseum. Oh, it's a picture. That's what I did. Oh, that's me at, there you go. This is me in Las Vegas just 2 weeks ago, up on stage, well, not stage, at the podium, talking about the 2,000% gain that I made on the SOXL trade at the bottom of the market, at the bottom of April. Turned, you can't quite see it here, but it was something like $38,000 into $683,000. So that was a fun trade. It was a good time. And I know a lot of you guys have that in the Moxie room because, well, if you guys were in the Moxie room at the time, that was a public trade. So yeah, hopefully everybody had a good time with that one. But yeah, what I wanted to show you this was that tomorrow is the last day for this special to get into the Moxie Indicator Mastery room. We're going to do this on a monthly basis, so it's not quarterly, and it's $197 per month, low commitment. You guys can stay in for as long as you want. Then you can head back out if you didn't feel like you got value for it. But you come over here, simplertrading.com/Moxie monthly, and that's where you can pick it up. We do have the next installment. It's going to be on the 7th. I thought it was the 8th, but it's actually the 7th. It's going to be next Thursday, the 7th, and where it's going to be on how to pick good stocks. And of course, that seems like kind of rudimentary, but it is kind of fun because we're going to go in and kind of talk about something like Lucid, because the ability to pick some of these things before they move is possible. I know a lot of people say you can't time the market and all that kind of stuff, but we had an entry here and we had an entry here, and then you can see just a day or two later, this thing popped up. Now, I know it's pulling back. This is totally normal. It's expected. But the fact that we got in before the pop really says something. And now I think this thing is game on, even though it's pulling back, because I think this pullback will eventually be viable, and that'll help set things up to go to the upside. Then you can also look at stuff like A-Lab and also talk about good timing. I almost wanted to buy it right there, and I thought, well, let me just hang on a little bit. And I'm glad I did, because you can see it pulled back a little bit. And then when it set up again right there, that's when I actually made the official alert. It shot up like this. We took some profits here. We got call options. So that was 120%. And I don't even know what we're up right now, maybe 130% or a little more. And so it just took a little bit of profits. It's up on some good news out there, and this thing is doing well. So yeah, the ability to pick some of these things are doing great. And then even something like GLXY, this is the, it's a stock related to Ethereum. And I originally got in here, I chickened out a little bit, made a small profit right there, but then it started to pop right there. We got right back in, and then we took some profits right there. And, now we're down just a little bit like this as this thing digests this bigger move. Okay. So we've been doing pretty well in this market. Of course, the market itself helps. It's nice when the market behaves, and it's a good, strong market. I like all that. It's easy. It's easy when that's happening. It's a little bit more challenging to navigate when, the beginning of 2025, when the market was coming down, or when we just get some messiness of kind of a bear market through 2021. But I have certainly learned, even myself as a professional, along the way. And that is kind of what I'm here for, is to help convey and communicate all the things that I've learned over the years to you, so that you can now do this a little bit more easily and kind of, cheat codes. You can actually learn everything I've learned in a shorter amount of time. Scott, is there a scan? How do you find these? Yes, there are scans. So like we were kind of talking about earlier, for me, I don't really need to use my scans because, number one, I look through my watch list about twice a week. So I just have a good feel of what's going on. Remember, guys, I'm kind of old school. This is literally what I do. I go through and I write down all the tickers that I'm looking at. You can see the pictures that I post in the Moxie room as far as the watch list. And I do manual like that because it changes so often. The market's a living, breathing entity, and names come, they go. And writing them down, I mean, when you have 400 names on your watch list, writing down the ones that are really calling your attention just makes it a whole lot easier. And then I put some dashes next to the ones, or circles, circle them the ones that I think are really interesting, and that kind of keeps me on them. But as far as scanning, you can certainly scan for this. So, for example, GLXY. This name was brought to my attention from one of you guys in the Moxie room, Brighter Side. And he was mentioning it, and I was kind of looking at it for a while. I was like, well, it kind of looks interesting. I'm not sure if I see an entry yet. But then a few days later, we started getting this. And you can see we did eventually get the Moxie price trigger. And so that is where this would have shown up. So, Scott, the Galaxy ticker would have shown up in two ways. One, you can scan for an hourly Moxie price trigger, which is what you see here. That's what those green arrows are. It's when the Moxie indicator crosses over zero. Great. Would have shown up. You would have found it ahead of time, and you would have been able to get into it. The other thing that it would have shown up at is anytime price dips below the 50 SMA while the Moxie indicator is above zero. That's what I call a trampoline move. And so this would have shown up on basically on the daily chart, not quite the hourly, because we didn't really get any trampoline moves in through here. But right here, when price got below the daily 50 SMA and the Moxie indicator is above zero, that would have shown up on your scan too. So this is another reason why, number one, I do like the scans. I feel comfortable and confident about them because in one way or another, I'm going to find names that are working, whether it's through the Moxie price trigger scan or through the trampoline scan, because you have them both on the daily and hourly. I'm usually going to find somehow a name that's going to be doing well, or at least a name that's going to be doing well. It's going to show up. For example, let's take a look at Hood, see if there are any examples there. So in through here, actually a couple times. So you would have been, here's your Moxie price trigger on the hourly chart. That is a fantastic entry. And you would have seen that right there. Any kind of pullback right there. In fact, if I zoom in on this on the hourly chart, you had a bunch of times that this would have shown up. This would have shown up on an hourly trampoline scan, price below the 50, Moxie indicator above zero. And again here, price below the 50, Moxie indicator above zero. That would have shown up. And so you would have had multiple times that this would have shown up on your scan. Hourly price trigger, hourly trampoline move, hourly trampoline move. So yeah, that would have come up too. And then the daily chart, it would have shown up here as you get a daily Moxie price trigger. Now, as you can see, the daily was a little bit late. That's actually why I like to use the hourly. Of course, I do both, but I love the hourly chart because it gets me that early or that initial entry signal, whatever you want to say, because sometimes the daily's too late. And that's why I use the daily and the hourly, and then sometimes the 15 to really find my entries, because I kind of view looking at the stock market like kind of reading a book. You want to see all of it. You want to be able to see each page and each cover and all this kind of stuff and whatnot. And that's why I can kind of just read it like a book, looking from the monthly, the weekly, the daily, the hourly, and even down to the 15. So yeah, if you start using those scans, Scott, then you will certainly come across these things. Let's see. It's even talk about Kava. I'm just kind of looking at my list here. And let's see what else this thing can show. Cool. Now, Kava, we've talked about this over the last few weeks. I think we were kind of talking about it in through here. Kind of, let's just say in through here. I said, yeah, this seems like possible. It's kind of getting set up. You can see price coming down, Moxie indicator coming up. And this is why I like to just look at stocks. I like to go through my watch list, even if nothing is setting up, because what I will be seeing is I'm watching something like this every day. I'm noticing that it is coming down. Great. There's no entry, nothing like that. But I'm seeing that it's coming down to the 30 ATR. Okay. I'm seeing that it's coming into the prior low. Okay. I'm going to be paying attention to it. And then I really start to notice that as price comes down, notice that the Moxie indicator every single day is trending higher and higher and higher and higher. That is that positive divergence that I talk about and that we look for. And if you're short, well, you better start paying attention to that positive divergence, because it's going to be telling you like, internally, energy and momentum is starting to press up. That might be bad news for my short. Okay, so that's kind of number one. And number two, then you can start seeing there's your Moxie price trigger. So if you were scanning, the Kava would have shown up back here. And now you have a double bottom, you have the Moxie price trigger, and then look what happened. You got the move. Pretty nice. And along the way, you even got the daily Moxie price trigger too. Now, I do think you need to understand the context of this thing. It's a stock that has been down. It's been kind of trading sideways for a while. It doesn't seem like it's ready to rip and roar quite yet. And you can see, look where it went right to its kind of previous high. It's staying in this range, basically. And so, that's fine. That's why you look at this as your first initial trade, ran into some resistance. Great. You kind of take some profits, take it off. You wait till the next something. Now, what I'm seeing here is that the Moxie indicator is persisting over zero, staying up. Okay, that's looking good. I'm also seeing the 8 is over the 21, and I'm also seeing that price is potentially staying over the daily 50. Okay, I'm starting to pay attention to this thing. Now, on the hourly chart, there's really no setup here. You can see that even though price came up, Moxie indicator's down, double topped, came back down, it's just not quite ready. It needs to flag a little bit, needs to build some strength, needs to just kind of recompose itself. And now you can see that the Moxie indicator is below zero. And we may be going into a time of the market that's a little bit chaotic and hectic and might be coming down. And we got FOMC and we got earnings and all that kind of stuff. So, maybe this is not the best time to really get aggressive on something like Kava yet. I'm still waiting for the official entry. But it is something that I'm paying attention to. And this is how you can start watching these things set up. So that's another one to be looking at. Let's see. Why was there not a setup on the first Moxie signal at 72? Well, there was. I mean, you can see there's the Moxie price trigger and it did move. For me, I just wouldn't, because if you look here, this is part of the reason why I wasn't just interested in getting into this name. If you look at the higher time frame chart, it's just not ready. It had a move, and sure, that move was tradable, but for a kind of a swing entry that I felt comfortable with and relying on, and I could say, yes, I think this thing's actually going to go someplace. I didn't have that yet because you're talking about price being down here. There's really nothing on the weekly chart. And when you still have this basically in a downtrend, you still have the weekly 8 below the weekly 21. The best I could hope for is a move back to the 21, which is exactly what it did. Plus, it has this big range and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought, there's a trade, but there's not really a swing trade yet, not a longer term something. And if you look at this now it's starting to look better. Now that it's given itself a few weeks, it is at least demonstrating that it doesn't want to go lower than say 70 or 72. It's now back into range, and now it looks like it wants to try and hold the daily 50. You compare that to before, look at the last time that it was at the daily 50. It sliced right through it. And look at the hourly chart. It was completely in a downtrend. That daily 50 did nothing for it. And the hourly chart didn't even flinch for it. But now you can see that it is trying to hold, it's trying to bull flag. We do have moving averages coming up. Things are looking pretty decent, and the daily chart's looking pretty decent. So this is why, yes, there is a move. Could you have traded it? Sure. Did I? No, I'm totally fine with that. But now I'm aware of this, and I would say, yeah, I've got an eye on this thing. So if it does start to work, maybe I'd be more interested in it for the next time. So I think that's really what it comes down to, is that you don't need to catch everything. You're looking for when everything starts to align and something starts to really actually look better for that situation. And I think Kava is actually starting to look better. And if you look at this weekly chart, we could make the argument that this might be an elf shoe: leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, and there might even be an elf shoe inside of an elf shoe right there. And so what I'd be looking for is, can the 8 and 21 start to narrow, and can price actually break up and over that weekly 21? And if it can, then I think there might be a move with Kava. All right. Let's see what else. If we kind of look around, I'm trying to think of some other good examples that I have in through here. I'm just kind of looking at my list. How about some negative ones? How about ARKK? Now we'll see. Trying to short this market has been very, very challenging and tough. But what I am seeing through here, and this is why I did short it, is we have a Moxie price trigger up here. Now, I know that there have been a few in the past. That's okay. Remember, it's a momentum-based tool. It will ebb, it'll flow. And in through here, what I'm starting to really see is price has been up, Moxie indicator down. And as price has been continuing to move up month after month, notice how the highs of the Moxie indicator continue to get lower. Basically, ARKK keeps going higher and higher and higher on less and less energy. Okay. Even though price goes higher, the peaks of the Moxie indicator continue to go lower. That is something to be paid attention to. That is noteworthy. The other thing is that in the past, when the Moxie indicator has dipped below zero, it recovered. You notice how it recovered very quickly and price recovered. But what's starting to happen? The Moxie indicator is now starting to really stay underneath zero, starting to actually persist underneath zero. And then another change, we have actually started finally to pull back to the daily 21, which again, I think is a change of behavior out there for the indices and the market and stuff like that. And that's why, tops take time, but I want to see if this thing is starting to come down and if we can eventually start to pull back a little bit further. Timing is going to be an issue. I do have some August 15th strategies for this, puts, butterflies, stuff like that. And we'll see if that's enough time. Usually when the market wants to come down, as long as they start actually coming down, it can come down in a hurry. I do think that the market is waiting for FOMC. I think it's waiting for earnings. And I think that's about it that we kind of need to get through. Plus July. July is just very bullish. And so we kind of need to work that off too. The other thing we can look at with ARKK is this thing is just wildly bullish up here on the weekly chart. I mean, it's so bullish that it's actually problematic. I know that seems silly, but at some point these things get so high up that it's just it is not safe to really want to keep pushing this on the long side. You should be prepared that it needs to cool off, and we're going to play that downside. Okay. So while I have your guys' attention out there on the, let's see, where is this thing? Oh yeah, it's a picture. I keep forgetting. Yeah, just remember tomorrow is the last day for this special. It's $197 per month, simplertrading.com/Moxie monthly. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because next week on Thursday, August 7th, so we come over here, August 7th, we're gonna be doing our next installment. It's gonna be on how to pick good stocks. And then after that, I forget what date, but sometime in August, kind of like later August, we're gonna do how to trade longer term. And I think that also works well for this market, considering we're seeing this kind of action with the market. I do think we're in a longer term bull market. I'd love to see a pullback, but after that pullback, it's time to pick up some bigger names. And yeah, I think AFRM is one of them that I like to talk about because this thing looks like it wants to keep going higher. I mean, imagine if AFRM got back to its all-time high. Wouldn't that be fun? We're at basically $70, and if it goes up to 170, it's another $100 that something like AFRM could go. I think it is reasonable to think that AFRM one of these days could get there. I don't know how quickly, but I think it's on its way because this is in a very nice uptrend. And I think this thing is going to continue going higher. And that's why I want to show you guys how to look at these things and how to pick some stocks that have potential to really run for hopefully the next year, year and a half, 2 years, however long this bull market's going to last. Because we're in a good one, and I want to make sure we stay with it and really have a good time with it. All right, let's do one more. So Charlie, let's see, EVRG, and then I'll sign off here. Yeah, looking pretty decent. I don't know much about this one. Is it an energy stock? Kind of sounds like it would be, but it seems all right. There's obviously a level here at about $70. If it can get past it and actually break out, fantastic. Then I think you're on your way. This has been a challenging one in the past. I don't know what your setup is or what you're trying to accomplish with this one. There have been some pretty big down moves. So that's uncomfortable. But if you actually look, maybe the change, because if you see here, it broke past the daily 50 back here. But look now it looks like it's starting to hold the daily 50. So I think that there does seem to be a change of character that is happening with this particular stock. So if it can continue this box right here, stay above 68, it does have earnings, so that's the unknown. But if it can hold this and actually start to break up and out, then I would say that's actually starting to look pretty good. Yeah, monthly, weekly. Again, I don't know anything about this stock. It sure seems like it does not want to get past 70, but hey, maybe this is finally the time in its life that it is going to actually break past, and maybe it can do it. The weekly chart also looks pretty good. You know, pull back, and this looks like a nice box that if it can start to break up and out, fantastic. So that's really the question is if it can do it, I think it looks like it's trying to, and just, yeah, can it happen? Okay, so let's kind of take a look at that one and see if you want to do something about it and go from there. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for your time. Everybody over in the social medias, I see ya. I see all those eyeballs and growing. And just remember, we have FOMC today. Anything can happen. So far, the market has pretty much gone sideways, up a little bit, down a little bit. I think they're just waiting for the news, and we will see. I don't think that any interest rate cuts are going to happen today. I think that's pretty low expectation. So it's really going to be about what Jerome Powell guides and what he says as far as future information. All right, so hang on to your hats and let's see what kind of wild action happens in a couple hours, and we'll get back to you. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you soon.